I think I was really at the bottom, so I went on some antidepressants. And although that's a whole other conversation, you know, there was pros and cons of antidepressants, where it's like, if you think of your spectrum of experiences, it's like your highs and your lows. And if you're feeling very depressed over here all the time, the antidepressants raise that, so you don't really hit that bottom anymore. But they also
lower this.
Lower the... Yeah. So for a period of being on those antidepressants, it really helped because it prevented me from feeling the rock bottom. So that also helped with the gradual. And then, you know, kind of going off of those, weaning off of them with, you know, the advice of my doctor and approval of my doctor, allowing myself to experience the full spectrum of emotions, was eventually a good thing for me. I think that everyone's situation is different, so I'm by no means giving out medical advice, but there's definitely pros and cons to antidepressants, and so they helped, and sort of slowly but surely, you know, limiting some of my time playing video games, maybe being like, okay, 16 hours is not a healthy amount of time. Let's wean ourselves off that as well. Maybe 10 hours, maybe 8 hours, maybe like only play between this and this time, because it really affected my sleeping habits as well. I'm sure most people that play video games that are listening or watching this can relate. You know, going to bed at 5 a.m. is not really healthy. The rest of your day is kind of ruined. And so getting decent amounts of sleep also helped. But just generally trying to slowly but surely change my perspective relating to the game, instead of it being like everything, kind of like taking some of the power away from it and putting that into little different buckets, you know, like the buckets that I've mentioned already. And it definitely wasn't like a quick thing. And I'm still on my journey. By no means have I like conquered myself or reached where I want to be in life. But I like to be able to look back and reflect and sort of see where I've come and appreciate the progress that I've made. I still will experience depression. It's something that is pretty much like hereditary. It's in my family. I know that I'm going to be living the rest of my life with it, but I can kind of work my way through it and give myself some grace, you know, instead of like before I would just be like, fuck, you're so useless. You're so, I'm not sure if we're allowed to swear on this.
You're allowed to swear. Yeah.
You know, like I would just really talk badly to myself, having those negative thoughts and like intrusive thoughts and stuff like that. Whereas now I may have a few bad days. I may even have a few bad weeks.
But you give yourself permission to have them.
I'm like, it's okay. Look at where you've come from. Think of where you're going, and it's okay. You know, finding that balance. So it's a slow and gradual process. And yeah, and like I said, I'm still on that journey to figuring out sort of what I want to do with the rest of my life, but finding people for sure that have that same passion for me, which is funny because I knew video gamers that also had the same passion. So you could say like, oh, well, but you already had that community. You already had people that had the same passion. I did, but filmmaking is not like the be-all and end-all of my life. You know, it's like a small part of it now, whereas video games really was. And it kind of was very subtle, the way that it slowly ebbed into the rest of my life with its bad habits. Whereas, you know, when I go onto a movie set and I'm making a movie, it's not really, you know, breeding bad habits.
There are clear boundaries.
Yeah.
You don't sacrifice everything so that you can filmmake, right? Like
exactly.
You have certain things you're like, yeah, I'm still going to go to the gym. I'm still going to walk my dog. I'm not going to let my dog suffer because filmmaking needs it. No. Right.
Exactly.
Filmmaking can wait. I'll go in the morning. Yeah.
Exactly.
I get it.
So slow and gradual process. And yeah, I think separating that self-worth so that it's not just one like big thing.
You've diversified your self-worth.
Yeah. like
different things,
you could probably apply that to a lot of different situations, not just video games. You know, you could probably say some mothers, you know, stay-at-home moms, when their children leave the house, feel like this complete lack of purpose,
Right.
because their whole life it's been like bringing up their children, making sure they're safe, like raising them to be like so that they can go out in the world and succeed. But I often feel like if you were to draw parallels in that situation, their sense of self-worth is often wrapped up almost entirely in their children.
Right.
And so when they leave, it's kind of like, whoa, wow, like where do I go from here? So like I would say the one big thing is diversifying that self-worth into different buckets, you know, for sure.